The weather has stayed fine, most unseasonal as far as the rest of the country is concerned. The only breeze at the moment really coming from a helicopter in the sky. Here's Grant Gifford. He's through 210 points. He's another who got stuck at hazard 4, and that's really what cost him the points in the end. 210 the total. 4th place. Here's Ray Pawley again in Buddy. Remember, he's the one that rolled. $320 points, the finish for Ray Pawley. It's going to put him well down the order, but he's still got a second round. And that is the end of the first round. In 5th place was Siddharth in the Haflinger Special, 650 cc's, 221 points. In 4th place overall, number 30, Grant Gifford in the Land Cruiser, LPG powered, 210 points, 4th place overall at the end of round 1. Don Cameron couldn't get through number 15, but he has finished 3rd overall at the end of round 1 with 200 points. Brett O'Brien came to grief at hazard 16, 100 penalty points here for him, and a total of 150 for 2nd place overall. And the man we picked early in the day, John Cowper, number 8, just 40 points. He got stuck in 4, but only had 2 failures in round 1 overall, so 1st place at the end of round 1. And our special award for trying despite incidents like this one, Buddy and Ray Pawley. They still lie 9th overall, and we'll leave round 1 to Sport on 1 next week. Mostly Subaru running gear though. It really does seem to be a good combination.
It certainly is. The vehicle is very, very functional. It's got good steering even right in the thick of a hazard. It's doing very well indeed.
And stuck in hazard 4. Just another of the many getting stuck in this one. This is Brendan Hanna of Michael Knudsen of Christchurch in the Suzuki LJ80. 1600cc Toyota motor and gearbox, has diff lock, steering brakes, and 30-year-old Brendan, who's been trialling for 10 years, uses this as a family vehicle as well. And I'm not entirely sure what the problem is here, Dave, but there's really nobody getting through it at all.
Well, since this morning the hazards cut up considerably. Once one vehicle chooses a line which isn't necessarily the right line, the other vehicles tend to follow whether they want to or not. And I think this is starting to happen now. Irrespective of where they're trying to point the vehicle, it's always ending up on the wrong side of the track, and it's just unfortunate that they're all getting stuck there.
Just gets confined to the ruts that are already there.
It certainly does, yes. That particular vehicle is equipped with diff lock and steering brakes, and the navigator's function is to operate those, but it just wasn't enough to keep it out of the ruts.
Just strapping himself in is Graham Smith with co-driver Debbie Donahue-Cox. They're from Wellington, and this is an interesting combination of a Suzuki LJ50 of 77 vintage and powered by a Datsun 1200 motoring gearbox. Suzuki transfer case, the diffs are homemade, independent rear brakes. But an interesting combination with the Suzuki. The Datsun 1200 motor always has been very reliable, capable of a lot of revs, and you can get very good horsepower from them. Seems to work for them. Still going forward, only just, and just scraping their way up the top. Here's the Ngāhuawahia pair again of Grant Gifford and Ken Fensom. The LPG-powered Toyota Land Cruiser, Yaka. Luck hasn't entirely gone their way in the second round this afternoon, but they've managed that one all right. Fairly straightforward.
Look at this.
Neil Vauxhall in 34. Stuck halfway up the hill section. Just belting himself in and cleaning down the steering wheel is Sid Darth in the Haflinger, about to go through the mud plug at hazard number 15. Now, only one competitor has got through that in the second round this afternoon. And in theory, if anybody should be able to get through, it should be Sid Darth in the Haflinger. So we'll watch with great interest. Only one vehicle has managed to get through at all.
Just carefully lining up for the hazard now. It's going to be very interesting to watch how he handles this greasy bank now. No, unfortunately, he got a wee bit too much crossed up, perhaps lacking a little in power, and unfortunately, Sid's been unsuccessful.
I noticed that day that he went and had a very careful look and waded along in the mud and found the line that he thought was going to be the right one.
Well, this is right. Quite a few of the drivers do tend to walk right through the middle of a hazard, but unfortunately, on 2 feet, you can't have 1 foot in each rut, so it doesn't always give you a true indication of what's in the bottom of the hazard.
So bad luck once again for Sid Darth in the Haflinger. And that's maximum penalty for loss of forward motion. Here's distraction again. Hazard number 4. Virtually nobody has got through here, and I don't think we're going to lose a perfect record. Distraction. Distracted completely. No forward motion, and that'll be a tow. One of the leading competitors still going very well, Owen and Sharon Larson in hot gossip, the Suzuki LJ80. This vehicle has gone exceptionally well today. Good driving, Owen Larson. Both from Paraparaumu. Certainly making that engine work, isn't he?
Yes, they certainly are. Remember, of course, the last vehicle through this hasn't rolled over, but they're making it look effortless.
Just amazing how easy some drivers make it look. So Owen Larson through once again. Going very, very well as hot gossip in the second round. Hazard 5 it is, and John Krupa in the Toyota Land Cruiser. Kiwi Clam is what it's called. Just clipping a post, but he didn't knock it over. I think he'll be all right. John Krupa from Nelson. Is he going to lose points for having knocked that peg or not?
Yes, I think that the tag fell off the top of the peg. It will need to be repositioned. I would be very surprised if we didn't lose points for that.
Cameron and distraction again. Spare from Turakina. Not getting the marker post. They haven't quite lost forward motion yet. Just creeping along. And they continue. Oh, just clipping a marker post. They didn't knock it over. Very, very close to the edge is why they're going so slow there. Scratching along the side of another marker post. And that will be up to the marshals as to whether or not they lose points for it. Just creeping through, but obviously sliding a long way to the right.
Yes, they certainly did it. That particular hazard slopes to the right, not a great deal, but when you get a bit of mud and water on it, it's just like an ice skating rink, and it's very, very difficult to hold the vehicle in an facing uphill.
And after that, Don Cameron from Turakina says time for a fag to soothe the nerves a bit.
Now John Budd and Gordon McNee again, hazard 14. They had 240 at the end of round 1. They've now dropped from 6th place down to 9th. They're not mucking around to get through this one. Plenty of pace seems to be the answer, and it's working for them. Sharon Larson perhaps trying to pick up a few tips from another co-driver. Grant Gifford and Ken Fenson. That's the bottom of hazard 13. They were 4th at the end of round 1, and they've now dropped to 6th, perhaps even 7th place. They're not going to make it up there. A big crowd here at Dunedin for a course that has held up very well, apart from hazard 4, which has really become a mud plug. Bob Dickinson and Gary van der Mark. 460 penalty points in round 1, 520 so far in round 2. The old Toyota Land Cruiser, a little higher off the ground, gets through the water and the mud quite readily. Now John Cowper and Nonny. Hazard 19 that they're in now, of course, is the last for everybody. They get to the end of the other hazards, which are not done in sequential order. They're done so that the most people can get through the most in the shortest possible time, and then they all line up to start this hazard number 19 and must go through it sequentially. Putt still going. Really is a tribute to the builders, this vehicle. A homemade bit using mostly Subaru 1600 running gear. And having got through there, John Cowper could be the clear winner. Just adding up the points as Sid Darth comes to number 19. Sid Darth and the little Haflinger going through, but I don't think that John Cowper and Nonny can be beaten. 260 points after the end of round 2. So they at the moment are the winners, and just looking through the points now, I don't think anybody can beat them. It looks like John Cowper and Nonny are going to beat Sid Darth and Shirley and everybody else as well. Look at that Haflinger almost floating. Not quite sure if it's floating or actually making some traction. Mighty Mouse it's called, and Mighty Mouse it has been, other than 1 or 2 little strokes of bad luck. Sid and Shirley Darth. John Krupa now. 420 penalty points in round 1. He's only got 500 now, so he's only accumulated 80 penalty points in the whole of round 2. Now this will certainly get him in the top 10 if he gets through here. Once again, the Toyota Land Cruiser getting through fairly easily. Brett O'Brien and Karen O'Brien. Actually held the lead through part of round 2, although their round 1 total was too high really to keep them in contention. Still well up the list though. Karen O'Brien trying to keep her feet dry. Might be a forlorn hope, I think, looking inside there. Now Owen and Sharon Larson. Hot Gossip. They were 6th at the end of round 1 and are now lying 5th. If they get through here, it looks as though by my tally they're going to finish in 5th place. Sharon Larson also trying to keep her feet dry. But as you can see, looking at the floor, there's not much chance of that.
Well, a good way to finish.
A lot of steam in there as Graham Smith and Debbie Donahue-Cox now approach hazard 19. This is the LJ50 Suzuki with the Datsun 1200 engine. 8th after round 1. 300 points penalties in round 1 and 360 in round 2, so they're consistent if nothing else. And getting a good ovation from the crowd, who have all accumulated around this last hazard, number 19, Don Cameron and Jan Cameron. In the Suzuki LJ80. They had 200 in round 1 and 440 so far in round 2. 3rd at the end of round 1. We think they've dropped to 4th or 5th place now. Looking as much like a boat as a 4-wheel drive vehicle, but getting through nevertheless.
You look awful clean for the afternoon.
Still to come, Grant Gifford and Ken Fencer. And the modified Land Cruiser on LPG. Not lacking horsepower this one. But they've done it all wrong. 4th after this morning's first round. And that's going to put them back in about 7th place. Hard Yakka is the name of the vehicle, just dying on entry. That's a shame for them. They could have improved their position. Obviously, it's got a little wet. Now, John Budd and Gordon McNeil. The Series 1 Land Rover, the last competitors to go through hazard 19. 6th at the end of the first round, and looking like 8th or 9th place at the end of the second round. And obviously not taking the competition too seriously. High spirits from the country lads from Partia. John Budd and Gordon McNeil.
Great day, great day.
And looking at the overall results, starting at 6th place, Owen Larson in the Suzuki LJ80, Grant Gifford, then John Krupa, Bob Dickinson and John Budd. Now the top places, John Cowper in the Subaru Special Putt-Putt comes out the overall leader, 300 penalty points the total for 2 rounds, excellent driving. In 2nd place, Brett O'Brien in Suzuki LJ80, 370 points. Sid Darth in the Haflinger with 510, then Don Cameron in the LJ50 with 640, and Graham Smith in the Datsuki Special, 660.
quite Spartan in the cabin. No velour seats or anything like that. It's strictly open air with no roof. So if it rains, you get wet. There's no side windows either, so you can also get quite dirty. But that's half the fun of the great outdoors. The body of the vehicle is all fiberglass, so after a day in the dust, you just hose it down. Once you get more familiar with the vehicle, you can start to use its reserves of power. The 65 horsepower air-cooled engine has got quite a bit of punch. The vehicle will reach 50 kilometres an hour depending on the terrain. But with 8-wheel drive and exceptionally low centre of gravity, it handles like a